talk about the stage, relationship with the audience, and that kind of stuff. And so this isn't a big darn deal. If you have anything to do with theater, I'll also be review for you. But I want to make sure that you at least know the language. So we face that upstage, downstage, cheat, this kind of thing. You don't know what we're talking about. So I'm going to ask Jack to come up and be my assistant up here. But there's 4 basic relationships that you want to honor when it comes to being on stage. And the first relationship is the most obvious. If you're on stage, that means there's an audience. And so when we talk about stagecraft and stage position, your relationship with your audience is strictly how you are going to present yourself. Which way are you going to stand relative to your audience? Okay? As you might imagine, the most powerful position you can have on stage is just staring right at them. They can see all of you can see all of them, and that kind of thing. That's the most position of power. So if you're a character, or if your character is someone with authority, or you want to take charge, it wouldn't be appropriate for Jesus to back away from stuff. He's going to stand up and confront, be powerful, that kind of stuff. It's fully open. Conversely, like my back to the audience, fully closed. Good. We're going to talk about your posture, and you're saying, well, hey, you got to open that up. You got to open that up. What do I mean? It means you're doing a scene with somebody, and all they can see is your shoulder, the backside of your head. I can do great acting over here. You can't see any of it. So Russ is going to be hollering, open! You got to open yourself. That just means turn more toward the audience. So here we go. We got full toward the audience, fully open, quarter right and quarter left, which you turn that way, 45 degrees or that way. Profile left and right, and profile left, profile right. You'll notice that the right and left are relative to him, not to you. His right is your left. He'd be 3/4 to the audience, which means he's almost all the way closed. Or 3/4 the other way. Or he'd be full back. So what will happen, you're going to be up here back, you're going to have this scene, and let's say we're engaged with each other. You might think this is exactly the way normal people would talk. However, in the theater, half this side can't see what I'm doing at all. And over here, you necessarily can't see what Jack's doing. So you would probably never do a profile-to-profile thing unless you're doing it for some sort of effect. Instead, we probably each go quarter this way and have our conversation, and that way people can see more. So this whole be aware of your audience, and be aware that the audience really wants to see you. Like the audience needs to see you. So when you hear us say, open that up, open that up, open that up, that means just you got to turn more toward the audience. And in chorus scenes, in big crowd scenes in particular, let's say Jesus is up here teaching, and you're all sitting around. Well, we're going to do what normal people would do. We all face Jesus. Nobody can see anything. If you're all facing Jesus, right now, all these back aheads, the back aheads are boring. So there's going to be all these sort of unnatural things where, yeah, Jack is way over there, and he's listening to Jesus, but he may be no more turned than quarter right, and be nodding and agreeing and doing all that kind of stuff. It's not necessary for him to really look at him. The audience doesn't care. The audience will know he's listening because of how he reacts. He'll laugh at the jokes. He'll grimace at the nasty stuff and that kind of thing. So it's not always the most natural, realistic, the way it seems to you, but we value the audience and our relationship with the audience over anything else. Okay? People need to be able to see you and hear you and see what you're doing. All right, second important relationship is your relationship to the stage. And this is always that weird little theater thing that messes people up. We consider the stage relative to our being on it facing you. So everything is backwards. Okay? So stage right is exactly the opposite way it looks from you. And I'm sure we'll have these times like, hey, I need you to cheat a little bit stage right. And you're going to go, okay. Just remember, when I'm facing the audience, that's what's right and left. So stage right's this way, stage right's that way. Stage right's that way. Up and down stage. Up and down stage actually came from the fact that in the early days of theater, stages were actually slanted so that people on the ground could see what was going on in the back. Okay? And so when we come down stage, we come down. And when we go up stage, we're actually going this way. There's power relationships involved with that as well. The farther upstage you are, the more powerful your character is. Why? Because you're higher, you're bigger. And oh, by the way, if I'm here, I have this tactile advantage. The implication is he can't see me. I have more power what's going on. So there's a scene where Jesus is before some of the religious authorities, and they're basically examining him, and we have the authorities basically moving back here, higher up on the stage, more upstage, showing that they've got a superior position, and that Jesus is sort of helpless there. Now, we still have Jesus' face in the audience. You see the reactions and that kind of stuff. But it's almost like this double cool thing, where all the power is here, but does he really have any power at all? Is Jesus giving up any stage power? By being down the stage a little bit? By being totally facing you? No. He's being defiant, psychologically, all just because of how we're going to block this stuff. Blocking is the business to put people on stage and not get appointed. But stage directions will happen like this. This is where Jack brings it on. So he's up on stage, and he's doing his part. And your guy needs to take 2 steps down the right. So then he's more toward downstage, more toward right. And you need to turn forward and left. And you take 2 steps backwards. Forward and backwards is just relative to him. There's a difference between backwards and upstage. Backwards would be like this. Upstage would be like this. Okay? So just keep track of what's going on.
That was wrong, by the way. What Jack did.
Yeah, what Jack did wrong.
You went upstage.
So when you say
That's directly back.
Yeah, so if you're forward and left and say backwards, you actually back up.
There you go.
Okay. So yeah, so take 6 steps, stage left. And go forward and left. Now use your downstage arm to point at Don. Okay? So even your body parts become upstage and downstage things. If I'm this way, that's my downstage arm. If I'm this way, it's my upstage arm. Whoa, just changed. Now it's my downstage arm. So we're going to use upstage, downstage, stage, left, stage, right, constantly. And it'll become second nature to you. But just be aware of what those things are. And so you can do that. Third relationship is to other people. And I alluded to this a second ago. But we have this thing, the quintessential theatrical position is the shared scene. I can talk about it. We each corner, we're this way, we're having this exchange. We look like we're talking to each other, but in reality, you can see everything that we're talking about. You can see my face, you can see my hand expressions, that sort of stuff. And you will start to learn that as things dynamically and fluidly change on stage, your little directing decisions are going to be, okay, I want to try to preserve the relationship that I'm supposed to be in. So let's say this person, me, comes over here and has this thought, and then turns back around, oops, I want to live it upstage. So maybe what you have to do is kind of, on his own, make sure that he came back over and come upstage and be. Now, it's another form of compensation. I'm getting smaller and smaller and smaller because I'm giving you less of my face. Or we do this. If you cover our face, one of those nervous compensation things, very common. It's just sort of I'm going to hide. I can't hide, but I can sort of kind of hide. I put my hand up here. It's the old baby thing. I'm invisible now. No, I'm not invisible. I'm invisible now. You're not really invisible. You're just kind of trying to make yourself sort of smaller and less obvious. We'll talk all the time about what hand you can be using for things. For your props, for your microphone, for different sorts of stuff. Women in the show will have veils. Your veil is very effective. You can cover your face. You don't have to sort of tuck back and put where it needs to be. But there's something you can do on that. It's the obvious covering yourself. And this is as old as theater is itself. And if you watch TV with a discerning eye, you'll see that this is stuff they still use in direction all the time. And that's the spheres of interest. Okay? There's a spiritual realm, there's an intellectual realm, there's a physical realm, there's a sexual realm. Go figure how that all works, right? So, what you'll see is when people are doing exalted God things, we're up here in the spiritual realm. This is where God is. If I'm talking about God, praise God, my hands are up here. It's all subliminal, it's all psychological, it never fails. I'm having a deep decision I gotta make. I'm really wrestling over something, I have my hands by my head, where all the thinking is going on. This is just acting 101 stuff. You'll see it all the time. You can even Hawaii 5-0, when it's like, oh my gosh, you know what I just realized? You see it so often, you don't even think about it. Oh man, I don't feel so, I don't know what I ate yesterday. I think I got some bad Mexican. You know, you're not going to go, I think I got some bad Mexican. Unless you're blaming God for Mexican, you know. So you can send confusing messages like, I think I'm going to puke. Or it's like, oh man. Okay, now if I got a headache, well, yeah, physical, you know, I'm thinking about my headache. So, but again, even, what do you do with your dumb hands? You feel awkward. You ever know what to do with your hands? Have it train what you're talking get into these sorts of things, when you want to be physically angry toward Jesus, or get physical, you're not going to sit there and go, crucify him. No, it's going to be right in here. You know, just it's emotional, it's visceral, it's, you know, that kind of thing. And it's just so interesting when you start to see it, how often it's used. And this is all stuff that you can bring to the party. But the biggest part is don't cover yourself with your hands, don't cover yourself with your costume, don't cover yourself with your props, don't cover yourself by being blocked incorrectly. And from here on out, when we start putting you in stage situations, which by the end of the day, you will have made a couple of trips up here in groups. And I'm going to expect there to be some sort of basic understanding and help each other. Don't put someone in a situation where it's like, hey, I'm talking to you, man, where I'm forcing him to turn around. Yeah. Show some common sense. Hey, I'm talking to you, man. Aim for that shared scene. That kind of thing. And we'll talk about which way to turn. I'm walking this way, and I'm going to go back over there. What's it better for me to do? Turn this way, so you can see me? Or would it be better for me to turn this way, where I disappear? The whole time I'm doing this, I don't exist. Now I'm back over here. If I'm singing the song, probably want to have this hand free, so I can sit and emote with it. And if I turn this way, I might just want to change my microphone hand and do this. All these little things that you can take charge of yourself and make yourself a more polished performer. And so that's why we spend the time to do this. Around, yeah?